How important is your posture? Did your mom ever tell you to kind of sit up straight or stand tall? How about this? Have you ever noticed kind of how healthy people stand compared to how maybe ill or sickly people stand? You're probably observing a lot about their posture. But what does posture have to do with overall health? Well, it actually has to do a lot with your overall health and function. Actually, 90% of everything your brain does is directly related to motion in your spine and how your spine is moving around in space. As humans, we're designed to kind of motor around this world, and everything we do is really centered around this spine. And for good reason, too, because our brain is so important. It's protected by the skull, and then its communication to the body through the spinal cord and all these nerves, the central nervous system, the spinal cord, is protected by the spine. And so the orientation of this spine actually turns out to be very, very important. And they've noted this in research as well, too. They've actually found, they looked at an elderly group of people, and they broke them into 4 categories based on their posture, from the most ideal to the worst. And the worst group over here had a much more greater likelihood of losing independence or needing assistance to do activities of their daily living. And so what did that mean is these people were more likely to be put in homes and in wheelchairs and using walkers and needing assistance to go to the bathroom, to shower, all this stuff. And what they found is you could predict that based off their posture. This group over here, they had 4 groups. This worst posture group was 393% more likely to lose their independence compared to more the upright group. And they've also done similar studies on cardiopulmonary function, and then just almost all rates of mortality are increased with poor posture. And so this begs the question, well, what is good posture? Well, we know we can try to stand up tall, but what does that look like on a spinal level? We have a nice gentle curve in the neck, kind of backwards, or this nice little C-shaped. And then we have a gentle curve throughout our rib cage, and then kind of a smooth curve in the lower back and the lumbar spine. So what tends to happen is when we look at technology all the time, we tend to start to lean that head forward. When we look at a computer all the time, it goes forward. And then we tend to get hunchy. And nobody really likes hunchy. Just the shoulders rounded forward, the head down. Just try to take a deep breath here. It's kind of really restricted. It's like difficult to do, and I almost feel sickly even doing it. Now, to stand tall like this, doesn't that feel better? And we all know we have this kind of sort of basic understanding of our posture, because if we're out motoring around in the world and we're kind of doing different things throughout a day, we're kind of running errands, getting into the car, kind of getting our workout in, we feel pretty good. But if we sit at a desk all day, our brain starts to, under fluorescent lights, it starts to kind of drain a little bit, start to lose some of that vibrance. And that's just because of that 90% of everything our brain does is related to our posture. And so our posture is really our default position that everything moves from. All our movements, all our biomechanics, all the exercises we do, it all defaults to our baseline posture. And so that's why it's so important. That's why we work on it with our patients all the time. And my job isn't so much to jam you back into a good posture, but what happens is when we get these misalignments in our spine, they decrease our ability to even get in a good posture. If we're like this all the time, we tend to jam the bones back in our spine and we get hunchy. And then when we try to lift up, the joints aren't properly aligned, so we start to get pinches and pains in our back, and so we don't really like that, so we just go back to the hunch forward position. So my job as a chiropractor is just go tap, 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 nice and gently, and then your body over time starts to reorganize itself into a more upright posture, which is really, really cool, because it essentially adds years to your life, but then quality to your years, because if you end up in this position in your kind of 70s and maybe even 60s, you're not going to have a very good outlook health-wise for a long period of time. But if we're able to maintain a healthy upright posture for long into the future, our quality of life is going to be high, and we're just going to be living a more productive, fruitful life, not only for us personally, but for everyone of those around us. We have patients in their 80s that are golfing 3 times a week, and they have a great upright posture. We've also had patients in their kind of 70s and late 60s that are in pretty bad shape, unfortunately they didn't get started with their care early enough, and I'm kind of limited on what I can do. But of course, we want to help them. We want to help reduce their pain as much as we can. But if we're able to start earlier and younger and keep that posture more upright, if we can keep that moving forward, it's going to be better for everything and every facet of your life. And so I encourage you to just get checked right away, because particularly in children, if some of these postural things get started in a young child, they really grow into them. They get much more difficult to change. Things like scoliosis and kind of the rounded, hunched shoulders. If we grow into that position and we stay in that position for decades, it gets much harder to fix. Versus if we start with that same child when they are 8 or 9 and we start to correct that, and then they grow into their full skeletal maturity in a nice, strong, upright posture, they're much more likely to keep that. And so no matter what life stage you're in, I encourage you to just get checked right away so we can start working on this, so that we can not only make your health better now, but also for your future. So I look forward to serving you in the office in the future when you're ready to get some great chiropractic care so that you can feel kind of younger and feel your best all at the same time.